seems like vampires never go out of style, at least not in books and movies.
No, that certainly seems to be true, but I do know of at least one kind of vampire that's not very popular.
You must be talking about the emotional vampire. I think we've all encountered, yeah?
You're exactly right, Olivia. But happily, we now have a new tool to deal with these kind of difficult people in our lives.
Emotional vampires are people who suck your energy dry. And everybody has experienced this, where you're around somebody and suddenly you feel like taking a nap. That's the sign that you have encountered an emotional vampire.
Judith Orloff is a psychiatrist in Los Angeles and a successful author. Her newest book is entitled Emotional Freedom. Among other things, it draws on her years of experience to provide specific suggestions about escaping the clutches of an emotional vampire.
What kind of emotional vampire are you dealing with? Can you describe them? What do they do?
Blaming, criticizing, disrespectful, and mean.
And how often does it happen that they blame you or criticize you?
Not always, but often, every other day or so, there's something going on.
So it's part of the style of how you relate to this person.
Right.
Does this happen in person, on the phone, through email?
All of those. A lot of texting.
All of those?
On the phone, in person, all of those, yeah.
All of those?
Yes.
Uses all those vehicles to blame and criticize you?
Yes.
All right, well,
Yes.
This is one of the emotional vampires that I talk about in the book. It's the blamer and the criticizer, and this can really hurt. And they could sometimes not let up. They could go on and on and on, and every interaction, or nearly every interaction, has a bit of a zinger associated with it. And so how have you been dealing with it when she does this?
Not well. Sometimes I react.
React to her, you get mad?
I get mad. My voice will raise as hers does.
So you would amp it up?
And yeah, it would amp. It would go real, high levels.
So you get into a fight?
Yes.
All right. And why haven't you begun to set limits with this person?
Lately have stopped doing that. And I just don't react, or it's much less than it used to be. But it hasn't stopped.
The first way to deal with a blamer or a criticizer is to learn how to set really healthy limits and boundaries with them. And so the way I would start with this person is to just tell her in a very firm, kind voice that she needs to talk to you respectfully. And come from your heart, but be very firm with them and be consistent. Because if this is a long-term behavior pattern, then it will take a while to really change it. And so this person will have resistance. But just expect that. And you need to come from a calm, centered place, not reacting to her. You can't react, because that's what gives an emotional vampire energy. This is so important, because what they want is for you to do exactly what you're doing, and you're getting into it with them. And so you're giving it energy. And whoever this is getting what they want, because they're going up against your energy, then it starts building, and then that's how they sap you.
So I'm noticing that I'm yawning a lot as we talk about this. And I said to someone the other day that every time I talk to her, this person, I'm exhausted. It's just exhausting. And here we are just talking about it, and I'm yawning.
Well, that's exactly the sign that you're around an emotional vampire, is that you do get exhausted, not just when you're with them, but when you think about them.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign for you to see. Now, however, just discussing this issue isn't enough. You have to take positive action to change the situation. You're going to have to not only be quiet. The being quiet isn't exactly empowering. It's taking a stand about how much of this you'll take, and make it totally clear to her that it's unacceptable for her to be mean, to demean you in any way, and to continue to blame and criticize you. So with emotional vampires, you have to be consistent, you have to own the moment, and you have to do it from a kind but firm point of view. Do you have resistance to doing that, to setting that limit with her, from a calm place?
No, I don't think so. Well, I must have some resistance, or I would have done it by now.
What stopped you from doing it?
Maybe fear of rejection, of them not having any relationship.
So you would rather have a toxic relationship than have none at all?
Well, no, not when you say it like that.
But that's what it is. If
Yeah.
somebody is blaming you and criticizing you all the time and sending you texts and calling you and in person constantly blaming and criticizing you, but this is a common fear, that if you begin to set loving limits and boundaries that you'll lose the relationship. And the thing is, with this type of emotional vampire, they can become abusers. And their MO is intermittent reinforcement, meaning sometimes they could be loving and wonderful, and at other times they can switch into dumping and blaming and criticizing. And so you're hooked in by the times that they're sweet to you. And that's an MO of an abuser. And so you have to realize that and not get hooked in because she can be so loving at times. What you need to do is change the entire behavior pattern through your limit setting. If you're calm, you know what you're going to say, you're setting your healthy limits, saying, no, this is not working for me anymore and you need to be respectful of me. You're actually respecting their spirit, but you're setting your limits. Because if not, you're enabling her anger and her blaming and her being out of control. You can't wait for her. And the feeling I get from you is you just get tired and you get a little discouraged and you feel like it's useless. So it's absolutely essential that you speak up. You set your limits, what's acceptable or not, and be prepared to leave if she becomes abusive. It's no longer in the realm of discussion. It's about action, limit setting, over and over again, and looking at it as an exciting challenge because this is going to make your relationship healthier. So you have to be the adult, you have to be the empowered person and not let the other run over you. And what I've seen with my patients, so many of my patients, is that when one person takes a step forward, there might be resistance on the other end in the beginning, but then it balances out and it's much better.
Judith's book, of course, deals with much more than just emotional vampires. It covers a wide range of how to release negative patterns so you can really achieve emotional freedom.
Here on Healing Quest, we talk a lot about emotional fitness, so this book really speaks to that, yes?
Oh, it does exactly that, Olivia. Deepak recommends it for anyone interested in feeling more positive and peaceful.
Well, from vampire blood to bones, and if you're interested in having healthier bones and cartilage, don't go away. Our Natural Medicine Update has details on how to achieve that.